Hey, I'm Scotty T from Your Comedy Minute. I have a fabulous, very funny actor, comedian. Pinar Stage is with me. Pinar, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great. I'm so excited.
Oh, stop that. Stop that. Nobody's excited to be here. Pinar, you are in New York.
Yes.
Were you born and raised in New York?
No. So I was born and raised in Colorado Springs.
Yeah. I I kind of sensed, now it may just be a bit, but I watched like your videos from, a year ago, and you had a real Southern accent.
Yeah, it comes out sometimes. I mean, I'm from Colorado, so it's not really the South.
It just,
But it's in there. And so I think sometimes like when I get really excited, like that sort of like comes out.
yeah, I noticed the newer ones, it's not, but the first one a year ago, your first bit,
Yeah,
oh, you were,
sometimes I mean I don't necessarily because I don't want that to be a part of it. Like I don't want people to think like but
uh,
sometimes when I get really excited, like I mean, I just can't help it. It just comes out.
I think it's great. Let's start with, when did you start doing comedy, Pinar?
Oh, okay. That's an interesting question because I actually started my first comedy performance was like in 2014 and
Okay.
it went awful. It was terrible. And then I quit. So I stopped doing it
All
from
right.
2014. I think and I picked it back up at 2021.
Okay.
So there was like a
I will
large
warn
gap.
you, because we just met. People that don't know, we just met. I laugh at the wrong stuff.
That's okay.
If you
That's
you noticed that it was terrible, and I started laughing.
it's funny. It's a funny story.
Go ahead. Well, you want to do it? Go ahead and tell it.
Well, what happened was so I mean
This is
2014.
back in 2014 that you, and it was terrible and you quit. Go ahead and tell that story. That'll be fine.
So I had been doing improv and I thought, well,
Okay.
let me try to merge into this comedy scene, give it a shot. I'd never
Right.
done stand up before. I never really thought of myself as a comedian, but I was like, let's
Right.
try it out.
Sure.
So I wrote this bit and I went to a coffee shop. Now this was in Denver, Colorado.
Okay.
I just went to an open mic in a coffee shop
Okay.
and you're supposed to do 3 minutes. I don't even really remember what the bit was about, but I got up on stage and I forgot what I was going to say. Like I just stood there like I was so like, and then I mean, it came back to me, but like I did it and nobody really laughed. And I just remember like leaving there thinking like, okay, this is not for me. Like, I don't think this is my, so I'm just going to go back to improv.
Well, that brings up, which I always ask this: was there a catalyst? And I think you said 2021. Was there a catalyst in 2021 that made you go back and say, I want to try it again?
I mean, so the entire time between 2014 and 2021, I was writing. I didn't know what
Okay.
I was going to do with it. But my roommate, when I moved to New York, she's like, you should really do stand up. You're really funny.
Yeah.
And so I kind of was like, oh God, I did that before. And I was like, I don't know about it. But I did it through a workshop, so it was like a class that was kind of
Right.
helping to guide you.
Right.
And so I thought, well, let's give it another try. I'm in New York. Um, and let's do it again. So that's how it kind of happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I understand. Again, I watched a lot of your, because you are multifaceted, and I'll get into that, as far as not just stand up, but you do Instagram, TikTok, and you do some really funny. I understand you have like social anxiety.
Yes. Yes.
No, see, I don't know if you know this. I don't like people.
Oh, yeah.
No, and to be honest with you, I thought, well, she has social anxiety. She's liable to say, I really don't want to do it. I changed my mind.
There's always that period like between
Yeah.
saying yes to something and then doing it where you're thinking, oh,
Oh,
can I get out of
yeah.
it?
You have a whole thing about canceling. He's just as good as just making all the.
Yeah.
You,
I mean, you
they,
can't see my hands, but I'm just sort of like rubbing my like legs over here.
you're like, yes, yes, you yes to everything, and then you like to cancel.
Yeah, yeah, I do that.
Well, you
Yeah.
and I've given away a lot, and I hope you don't mind. But like
No.
your Instagram one that I just saw earlier, you were out at an open mic and you tried to say hi to another comedian, and
Yeah. Oh my. Yeah. So
what?
I
What's
just,
wrong? What's am I doing something wrong?
right.
No, I listen. This is your comedy minute, Pinar. I want it to
Yeah.
be all about you.
Yeah.
The last thing I
Yeah.
want you to do is walk off.
Yeah.
You can't have that.
No, 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 no. I'm here to stay.
Okay. Well, do you want to tell them about how that went? It didn't seem like it went so good for you.
Um, so the open mic with the guy, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
So
Just
I
your
went to an
social
open
anxiety.
mic.
No, because I wanted to add something at the end. You go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, I went to an open mic, and so the thing with open mics is like, I mean, for new comics, they're pretty awful. Like open mics, I mean, they're very. I mean, sometimes you can find some good ones, but sometimes open mics are just very like, ugh. But well, typically when I go to an open mic, I mean, usually like it's all guys, which was this time, it was all guys. I was the only
Right.
girl there. And I thought, you know what, let's introduce ourselves. Let's try to make some new friends and everything. And I introduced myself to this guy, and I mean, he just kind of looked at me like, can I answer a question for you? It's like, why are you talking to me right now? And I was like, okay. No,
Yeah.
it was just a weird experience to have. I was like, okay, well, this is why I don't do this. This is why I
Yeah.
don't talk to people or strangers. Yeah, no problem.
Your story reminded me of when I was in Philadelphia. I worked for a record company, and we were just trying to give out free samples, cassette samples. And people were like, no, no, thanks. And it
Yeah,
just reminded me of your story. You're just trying to say hello.
yeah,
And the guy's like, can I help you something? Why are
yeah.
you
It's like,
bothering me?
did you have a question?
Yeah.
Just
But
gonna.
you also talk about, other anxieties as far as um like different events or trying to go to different things.
Yeah, one of my bits is about going to a networking event.
Right. You got through the library, you went through a library tour, and that was okay.
Yeah, I did the library tour, and there's a burst of confidence, and I was like, hey, let's go to the next level.
Yeah,
We went
take
to
it
a
up a
networking
notch.
event.
Right.
Yeah.
So the networking is that didn't go so good.
I mean, it was so my bit is more about like I kind of tend to take people along with me on that feeling. And so I talked about like having to stand outside the hotel,
Yeah.
like and just like I'm gonna go, and it's like, no, no, I'm
Right.
gonna and and people of course are staring at you, and there's like cars going by, and that like amps up your anxiety. And so I just like began running to the hotel.
Right.
And I don't even know where I'm going. It's like when you have anxiety, it's like you're just sort of like in that moment where you're not really paying attention. You're just like, I need to get somewhere safe. So I went to the bar. I don't drink. I'm allergic to alcohol,
Yeah,
but like
I that stop put right there. I said, "Holy hell, she's allergic to alcohol." You wouldn't even be
yeah,
able to. Hey, you wouldn't even be able to hug me.
yeah. And but it's like you order something just to fit into the crowd.
Right, right. I loved it. I said, she just.
Yeah,
You
you
didn't drink
know.
any of it, did you?
No, I just held it. Like I was just holding it, the entire night, like that. So,
Oh gosh. Well, let's keep going. I'll try and get us back on the rails a little bit. Comedians that inspired you, when you were younger, or comedians that inspired you that said, I want to try doing comedy.
so my biggest one I remember when I was a kid was watching Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Robin Williams, and I mean this. He wasn't a comedian, but John Ritter, because of the
Yeah.
physicalness of
I
him.
love John Ritter. He was great.
Yeah, I mean, watching Three's Company, I thought, oh my
Right.
god, like I want to do that, like that. Just like the amazingness of how he used his body and his voice and everything. So Robin Williams, and then later on, honestly, there weren't a lot of comedians. It was more like comic actors, like Martin Short.
Okay.
Because when I was younger, that was kind of like my trail. I really didn't think I was going to be a comedian. I didn't ever had that in my mind. It wasn't until like as an adult I kind of thought about
Okay.
it.
What about comedians now? Are there
Oh,
comedians out
so
there now that you
now
really like?
I love Jim Gaffigan.
Okay.
Fortune Feimster. I'm
Yeah.
gonna mess up her name. It's Atsuko Okaska.
Okay.
Love her. Um, yeah, I think those three are like my kind of my top three.
Okay. Cool. Cool. You talked there for a minute about being New York and the anxiety and stuff, and it just dawned on me, coming from Colorado, and you've only been in New York, I guess. How long have you been in New York now?
This is my third year.
Okay, so is the anxiety level going down a little bit?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, when
because
I first
man,
moved here, it was definitely an adjustment. Even though I've always wanted to live in New York, like I love a big
okay,
city, but
right,
when you it's different when you are actually here
yeah,
and
yeah,
you're by yourself. Of course, like I don't have family around here, and so that adds up to it. I'll
sure,
also,
sure.
yeah.
You also do a bit, and I hope you don't mind. I'm trying to throw you a couple softballs here, but you do a bit, and maybe this was a year or so ago, but about IKEA furniture.
Oh yeah, I think I forget. Was that in the depression one or the anxiety one? I don't.
Why am I being quizzed? It's your
Yeah, I
stuff.
have to. But yeah,
You know what?
I
You know
was
what? Right
talking
now, I'm
about.
getting some anxiety. I'm wondering if I want to go on. I may not go on. I may just stop this damn thing.
Sometimes you do something great and you forget about it. Like I totally forgot about the IKEA, and I
I love
love that
messing with
bit.
you. I love messing with you.
Yeah, but it's like, but you if you ever built IKEA furniture, like, and you have
Right.
anxiety, it's just like, you open it up and it's like 75 pieces that are just
Right.
all around, and you look at their directions, and they have that little guide. He's all like, and it's like, what is, and everything goes together with like one
That's a
Allen
great
wrench, and you're
impression.
just
That's a
like,
great impression.
yeah, he's just like, because the problem with it is like
Hey,
IKEA is
hey,
supposed to be
that's you trying to
easy.
put it together.
Yeah, he's like, I don't know.
You
But
keep
it's
going.
supposed to be easy. Like, it's supposed to be
Yeah.
easy. And then you're sitting there and you're like, oh my God, I can't even return this because they're like, this is easy. So if you can't do it, what's wrong with you? So because all my furniture and when I moved here was IKEA. And so I was just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm just gonna sleep on the floor. Like, I'm just gonna like get rid of this. But my brother came into town, he fixed it, so it
And,
was
and
okay.
and and he had an Allen wrench.
And he had the Allen wrench. But you know what? It's the fear of like, where's the Allen wrench now?
That's
Because
I
it's like
I
if you
tried to
lose
tie it
that
up for
Allen
you.
wrench,
Yeah, that was
what are you
great.
gonna do?
All of it goes together with an Allen wrench. You lose the
Yeah.
Allen wrench, you just
And it's like, and then you think about like when I move, I have to take it apart, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, like just burn it, like
Anyone
get rid.
that ever has bought IKEA furniture can relate to that because it's
Yes,
like you got all this stuff and wait, where's that
yeah,
go? Or you
yeah,
get it
exactly.
together and you find a bag of screws.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You produced a show a little bit ago called Just a Bit.
Yeah.
How was that?
Oh, I loved it. So being a woman, of course, I'm always supporting like women in
Okay.
comedy. And so we have this thing called a women's comedy collective in New York. And
Okay.
we basically tell like women that we've worked with, we help them to get shows and stuff like that. We let them know if we're producing things, just to give more women comedians like a platform. And so Just a Bit was an all women show. It was women that I had previously worked with or had done shows with before. And so it was so much fun. I mean, it was just, it was a fun platform. It's very diverse. Like a lot of the they're so creative in their writing. And it was just a fun environment to be in.
I have made no secret about it, and anything you can do to help me, and I'm being 100, it's the only time I'll be serious during this whole thing. I would love to have nothing but women on the show.
Yeah.
So anything you can do to help me with your collective, tell them they're all welcome, every one of them.
Yeah. I'll definitely
Okay.
send out
If
a
you've heard me
email,
say that,
get
I
in
say
touch with
that
you.
all the time because I like the interaction. I'm no comedy genius, but I love my interaction with women because I think there's that, just the magic of it. And that's why I love having women on the show.
Yeah, definitely. I will definitely send your
Plus,
contact
plus,
info.
I get to talk to a woman for a little bit.
Oh,
What's the difference between a beautiful woman and a sexy woman?
right. Oh, I don't know.
How would I know? Women like that
Oh,
don't talk to me. I was going to ask, do you plan on producing more shows?
I would love to.
Okay.
There's of course a cost in it. You're renting a space out, but yeah, I mean, absolutely, I would love to produce
Yeah.
another show, and have been thinking about doing just like a bit more would be the
Yeah.
next show. Um,
Okay.
yeah,
Well, again, I caught a little bit of a bit about your dad is from his country. He's from a farm, and your mom is Turkish.
yeah, opposites attract, right?
Right.
You would
Well, I just
know.
it ties into that country twang you have on some of your videos.
Yeah. It's like you just, the country, you can take yourself out of the country, but you can't take the country out of you. Right. And my
Absolutely.
dad is like very, very much country and has that sort of like, y'all.
Yeah.
But my mom is Turkish and like Mediterranean. And so it's like a Kardashian hick, you know,
Kardashian Nick.
that kind
You
of goes to.
also, I hate to keep jumping around, but I love so much of your stuff. You talked about going shopping with your mom when you were young.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't know if other people have this thing. I don't know if it's just like Middle Eastern parents, but they are suspicious. Like when they
Okay.
go shopping, like they move very fast and like, they're just like, here, give me, put this in here, put this in
Right.
here. And so as a child, it was just so like, is this okay? Like, like this is what's happening here, and like, they have samples, like, this is not supposed to be eaten, but like, they open it and, taste it. And so it's just an interesting thing. As a kid, you feel like you're committing a crime.
Yeah, you even said you thought you were an accessory to a crime.
Yeah, because like, we would leave so fast and she's like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, get it. And it's like, why are we rushing? Like, what's
Well,
the
you said
problem?
you said you took a duffel bag.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, she had 4 kids, and so now when I think about it, it's probably just like a
Hey,
lot of food. But
Pinar,
she'd bring a
do
duffel bag, these
you
things
think
like,
mom was pilfering a little bit? Do you think mom was maybe?
yeah, she paid for it, but like it was just weird. It's like, why are we
Well,
bringing all these like items? Nobody else has this.
the double stuffed Oreos? Those were your. That was your. I'm telling you, I love you. I think you're wonderful.
Thank
You
you.
also eavesdrop on the subway.
That is going to be my newest one. That's the one I'm
Okay.
working on, about eavesdropping on the subway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I used to work. I before. Well, I was in the music business a long period, but before that, I worked in the malls. In the shopping centers. I worked for Sam Goody and different record stores. And one of my favorite thing was to sit there in the mall and just one look at the people and two listen to what the hell they had to say.
Yeah.
There's nothing better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Some of the
It's almost like a
conversations you
job.
hear as they go by or
Yeah.
there on the subway, I can only imagine, especially in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you hear a lot of stupid conversations,
Oh, yeah,
so
but
then it's like it begins to
I'll bet you get
search.
some good ones too.
Well, I mean, I eavesdrop, but in my bit, I talk about how bad I am at it because,
Okay.
you're sitting there with your headphones and you're looking at
Okay.
body language. And so I always tend to like turn off my headphones at the wrong time. And then so
Okay.
you only hear like a sentence, and
Okay.
then it's like they stop talking and you're like, where's the rest of it? Like,
You're curious.
and you can't be like, excuse me, can you tell me the
You
whole story?
You ever root for one or the other if you get two? I've already been have that you hear like a man and a woman arguing, and I feel like, hey, bud, shut up. But she's right.
Yeah, well, I the other thing with the eavesdropping is like, you make facial expressions. So I'm very obvious because I'm like,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know what I mean? So it's like,
right. Um, I've touched on it. I don't know if we were recording yet, but besides doing stand-up comedy, and there is a real divide. I've done enough of these, and I've done them with, older comedians, Tom Padovano, Helene Witt, a lot of older comedians, and then I've done some more of the digital creators. And I think what's great is that you're doing both,
mhm.
with Instagram and TikTok. And I mentioned a couple that I watched. And I just was kind of curious, do you enjoy doing one more than the other, or do you enjoy doing them both?
Oh, there's nothing like a live performance.
Okay.
I'll say that. But I feel like, in that, like in this society, you have to do both.
Right. A good point.
I mean, comedy, I love it so much, but stand up, I mean, some people may not know that it is actually very difficult to get on stage as a comedian.
Right.
You have to do like a bringer show, or you do an open mic. But in New York, an open mic is more of just comedians. You don't necessarily have an audience. And so in order to get that exposure, you kind of have to do both, to
Yeah.
get to have a following. And so I love making videos. It is fun. You have the time to sort of sit there and think about, like, it's more like sketch comedy, I guess. So I could
Yeah,
use my
it's
improv
exactly
a little
right.
more.
Skits or sketches. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, performing for a live audience, there's nothing like it. I mean,
Okay.
it's
Well,
so
and
much.
I'm sorry, but I did watch a lot because I really like to prepare for these things. I think that's
Yeah.
what separates me from other people that are doing it. But you
Yeah.
do a bit about bringer shows.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, you said it was one of the worst times ever.
Uh, well, I had this. I've recovered from it now, so I'll share it with you. But it was
You
a
don't
really
have
embarrassing.
to. Look, I'm just trying to help here, Pinar. I don't want you getting mad and leaving.
No, I'm over it. I've healed. So a bringer show, for people who don't know, is
Yeah,
obviously you have to bring people to the club, right? And there's different numbers depending on the club. So sometimes it can be 10, sometimes it can be 5 or 3, right? But they have to actually come. So you
right.
can't just buy tickets. So I don't do them very often because it's very difficult to find people who are gonna commit.
Yeah,
But I did this one show where there was a bringer show, and I thought I had 10 people. I made the mistake of not really following up with them.
right.
They agreed to it and they confirmed. And I was like, yeah, all right, fine, great. So I went to the comedy club and I'm sitting there with the other comedians, and this the not the club manager, but one of the girls who works there, she came over and she's like, nobody came for you. In front of everybody. I'm just sitting there with all the comedians. She's like, nobody came for you. She's like, I can't let you on. It's like, wow, this is a really embarrassing, like, sad moment, like that nobody came for you, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. Well,
Um,
again, I apologize for interrupting, but Helene Witt, who was on, and do you know Helene, by the way?
no, I don't.
It's okay. She's been around a long time. I'm going to guess Helene's 65, 70 years old. And Helene said that exact same thing about bringer shows.
Yeah.
She wishes that even at her age and as long as she's been doing it, and Tom Padovano and people, Tom's probably again about 70 years old or whatever. I hope I'm not overstating that, but and they complain about the bringer shows that if I don't have enough people, I can't go on. And I thought
Yeah.
that's ridiculous.
It's
I
hard,
never I
I'm
never heard of that until Helene and
yeah.
Tom and different comedians started telling me about these bringer shows. I thought, my God, I never heard of that.
Yeah, I mean I mean I get why clubs do it. Obviously, they
Well,
need to make
yeah,
money. And and that's just part of the business, but it is very difficult, to get 10 people to commit. I mean, it is an expensive night, you got to buy the ticket and then the drinks. Um
well,
so
you
that kind
said
of
something. You said something. You exhausted all the people that you couldn't get to
you
come.
right? I mean, I had see my first show, my 10 people came, and then it was just like,
Here's my problem, Pinar. I don't have 10 friends.
yeah, well, that's
I don't
another
have
thing.
10 people that would come walk across. Nah, that's all right,
Yeah,
Scott. I'm good.
and especially if you're new to a city, I mean, making friends is difficult. So,
Yeah.
you
Especially with
know,
that social anxiety thing you got going.
right?
All
Oh,
right, we're gonna get to a couple more, and we're gonna your favorite show so far since you've been back doing comedy, your favorite show that you've done. And the follow-up, that's where, for me, the least favorite show.
the
Because
least
that's where
favorite.
the meat is. That's where the comedy is.
So
So
the
do your
favorite show
favorite
that
show
I
first. Do your
performed
favorite
in,
show.
that I performed in,
Yeah.
is that
No, favorite TV show you were just sitting and watching. No, your favorite
um
show that you did.
so my favorite one, I would say, would be my most recent one. It was about me having depression,
Okay.
about dealing with depression. That was my favorite one. I feel like that was probably like my best one, the best
Where was
performance.
it? Was it certain? Because I noticed that most of them I think are Goth. Is it Gotham? Is that right? Where you've been playing a lot?
Yeah, so I because I
Gotham
do a
Comedy Club.
workshop. through a Manhattan comedy school, and that's where
Okay.
you perform is in
Okay.
the Gotham Comedy Club. Yeah, so that
Okay.
was my favorite one.
Okay.
I would say. I
Now,
feel like the written is probably like my favorite. Yeah,
okay. Do you have a least favorite? Or would that be the bringer show where you couldn't get on?
that would probably be the least favorite. Yeah, that'd probably be the Bringer show. But you know what? I mean, I don't know if it's my least favorite, but you know, my very first one I did in New York, I like totally forgot an entire section. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I don't know if it's my least favorite. It's like a learning thing. You know, you
Yeah.
kind of, you know,
Yeah.
grow from it.
I know exactly where you're at. I've done a batch of, I did 105 YouTube lives, and I drink a little bit. I got a funny little drinking problem. And I'd get it, and I'd say, well, I'm just going to do two more jokes. I'm going to wrap it up. And before you know it, I wrapped it up, and people like next week going, "You forgot to do the two jokes."
Oh no.
No, I mean, I I hate where I look at because I used to make like a whole set list,
Yeah.
and then I look at it afterwards like, man, I missed that whole section.
Yeah. And it's probably like your favorite joke, and you're like, dang it.
Well, you get caught up. I don't know about you, but you get caught up. I get caught up, especially doing these interviews where, I don't know. I mean, I have a plan, but it can get sidetracked like this one. This one went completely off the rails. I have no idea where the hell I'm going now.
But it's beautiful, right? I mean, it's just sometimes
Oh
the
my God,
improv
it's
of it is just
magic.
great.
You and me were magic. You're gonna tell me to
Yeah.
disappear. um, as I said, I love your country accent. I love when you do that. I think it's comedy gold.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you plan on doing comedy now do you plan on doing it? And the Instagram, TikTok, one sense or the other?
Yeah, absolutely. I really enjoy it. And you know, the thing about comedy I love is coming from like a theater, you know, as an actor, is that, you know, in theater, it's somebody else telling you what you can and can't do, you know, based
Okay.
on what they feel. You know, you don't look the part, you don't have this. But I always love the fact that, you know, comedy is like I'm writing it, so it's mine, you know, and
Okay.
you know, you can perform anywhere as long as you can have the people or you go through a workshop or, you know, something like that. And so, yeah, I mean, I love it, you know, I enjoy it. And, you know, I'm always continuing to write. I feel like the writing of it is always, is what I'm trying to get better at.
Okay.
So, you know, yeah, I'm always trying to perfect and, you know, it's something that I enjoy. The performance part of it, I just enjoy. So I think I'll always keep it.
Well,
Yeah.
look, we're going to run out of time, and I want to make sure, Pinar, that we cover everything that you wanted. Oh, one last point. Nancy Levine, the Ladies Room Comedy Festival. I wanted to pay respect to Nancy Levine because that's how this came about.
Yes, I mean, you know, I haven't met Nancy. I'm so
A lot
thankful
of
that
people
she
say
accepted
that.
me
A
into
couple,
the
yeah.
festival.
I
But
think
I'm so grateful
it's
she
coming up in
put you in
December,
touch
isn't
with.
it? Is it in December? Is that when it's coming up?
Yeah, I believe it's December 7th and 8th. They haven't
Okay.
released it, I don't think, but on their website, I mean, that's what it
Yeah.
says. It's December
But
7th and
she
8th.
emailed me. I emailed her again, and I'm not joking. I want to have female comedians on,
Yeah,
and I'm begging. I beg every female comedian that's been on, please help me get more female comedians. And
yeah,
she sent me. She said she just was accepted, and she said you should contact her, and here we are.
yeah, yeah.
So I wanted to pay respect. But anyway, please cover everything that you want to cover, and then of course you have to do a your comedy minute for me. That's
Well,
not negotiable. I will come over there
yeah.
and I'll wrap you about the head, neck, and shoulders.
Well, I mean, I'll promote that I have a show September 8th.
Yep.
I'm gonna do the eavesdropping thing bit.
I'll try and get this aired before September 8th so I can help promote it a little bit for you.
Yeah. And then of course the comedy festival in December I'll be preparing for.
Okay.
So
And
if
I
you're
and
in
I
New
will
York,
include the links to your Instagram, your TikTok, and everything, and make sure that everybody, gets to know you. Because I if you can't tell, I am a big fan. I like you a lot.
thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. Thank
I
you.
mean that though. And I'll do everything I can. This is our first meeting. If you have a good time or had a good time, I'll have you back on and we'll see where you're at in a few months.
Absolutely.
Cool, cool.
Absolutely. I would love to.
All right. So you know
Yeah.
what time it is. In our stage, your comedy minute. Go ahead.
Okay, well, so I did a depression bit not too long ago, and this was something I wanted to include into it, but I thought maybe it would be a little bit too dark, so I took it out.
No, no, no,
Um,
no. It's not too dark for here. Nothing's too dark
yeah.
for here.
So in my depression bit, of course, I'm talking a little bit about, some of the symptoms of depression and how that affects you. But one of the things I wanted to say was that having depression is so difficult because there'll be moments where like I wanted to kill myself, and then something funny comes to my mind. I'm like, dang it, I have to postpone this now because this is too funny to say. But I took that out of my bit, so I never actually performed that in front of an audience because I thought, well, maybe that's too much. I don't want them to feel bad for me. I'm okay. I'm doing fine.
That pause, that was comedy gold, Pinar. Because if you saw my face, I was like, "Oh my God, I can't. I don't think I can do suicide." They don't.
Yeah, yeah,
YouTube YouTube will cut that off in a heartbeat, and then like, hey, then I'll see something funny. Oh my God,
yeah.
I knew I loved you. I think you're fantastic. Really
Thank you so much. I mean, I've had such a fun time with you. This has
good,
been
good. Well, let me
such a
stop the recording so we can talk for a minute or two off the air, if that's all right.
okay, yeah,
And
perfect.
you promise you're coming back.
Hey, whenever you want me on, you let
I'll
me know.
have you
I'll be
back on
there.
real soon.
Yeah,
Let me
I'd love
stop the
to.
recording, okay, Pinar?
All
Thank you
right.
very much for being
Thank
here.
you so much.
You're a really really funny young lady.
Thank you. Thank you.